Hello, all sentient beings, and welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, where we talk about news, comics, and media related to the... This week, our world is transformed as we review the first issue of Shattered Glass from IDW Publishing. We also have some filming location updates for Rise of the Beast, and news out of Renegade Con about the new Transformers trading card game and role-playing game. Today is Friday, September 3rd, 2021, and this is episode 249 of Transmissions Alt Mode.
Welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, the podcast that, just like Hasbro, is putting all its G1 podcasts up to stream for free on YouTube. I'm your host, Charles, aka Big C, and I'm joined by the excellent Transmissions team. Jeremy, aka Yakko.
Hey, how's it going?
And Daryl, the Cybertronian Beast.
Listens to the outtakes at the end. Let's talk Transformers.
As always, we started the show by thanking our Donatreons, those lovely people who give us money on Patreon and PayPal. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support the show. We really appreciate it. If you're not a Donatreon and would like to become one, just go to transmissionspodcast.com/support. And this week, we want to give a special shout out to Will, one of our Donatreons who recently increased their pledge. So Will, thank you so much for supporting us and now supporting us even more. And we have your voicemail and we're going to play it at the end of the show. One of the perks of being a Donatreon is that you get access to the uncut early episodes of Empire of Rust before they go out in the main podcast feed. So this week, coming up on Monday, September 6th, you'll have the uncut full version of Empire of Rust episode 58. Sweet Wild of Mine. Really like that title. And this that refers to one of the characters, Wild Strike, for those who are not listening to Empire of Rust. But so this is the start of season 2 of Empire of Rust story. So be sure to jump in on the ground floor there.
Would you say it's a good jumping on point?
It is. It is a good jumping on point. And I'm guessing this episode is going to focus on the player character of Wild Strike. So Wild Strike is a Decepticon seeker who is a member of the group of heroes that are the main characters of Empire of Rust. So check that out. Of course, if you are not a Donatron, you'll have access to that regular episode the following week, which would be Monday, September 13th. So still got a little time. But if you become a Donatron, you can get it right now. All right, let's jump right into the show and start off with some comics news. So first up, we have the Casey Collar cover for... this is the retail incentive cover for Beast Wars issue number 10. And Casey put up his line art on Twitter so you could see all the detail he put into the cover. The colors were done by a good friend of the show, John Paul Bove, also known as Wordmonger on Twitter. So you can check out that cover and then check out the line art as well. So thanks to Casey and John Paul for putting that up. Next, we've got a listing for one of the trade paperbacks, upcoming trade paperbacks. This is for the main IDW Transformers comic series. This is volume 5, Horrors Near and Far. And so this is going to collect Transformers 31 through 36, the Transformers Wreckers, Tread and Circuits 1 through 4, the Transformers 2021 Annual, and the 2021 Transformers Halloween Special. So these are all comics. A lot of these comics have not come out yet, but this trade paperback is planned for next year. So this was an Amazon listing that's supposed to be released May 24th, 2022. So, several months from now, after all these comics are published, we'll have this trade. So, if you're waiting for the trade, that's when you can pick it up. But yeah, I mean, we're going through the main books right now. The Wreckers. The Wreckers was just announced, so we haven't had a chance to look at that yet. And then the annual, of course, we reviewed already. And then the Halloween special coming up, I think is going to be interesting. So look forward to all those comics. And then, if you're interested in the collected edition, check it out next year. All right, let's jump into our comic review.
All right. We are looking at Shatterglass #1 this week, and this is written by Danny Lore, art by Guido Guidi, inks by John Wyckoff, colors by John Paul Beauvais, color assist by Ed Peary, letters by Letter Squids, editor Riley Farmer, supervising editor David Marriott, designed by Jake Wood and Joanna Natalie. Ooh, that was a long credits. We have 3 covers. The first one is an homage to the Marvel G2 #1. This is Not Your Father's Blur, I guess. This is by Alex Milne. And cover B shows Blur racing a volcano. This is by Dan Kana and John Paul Bove. It's listed as Daniel Kana. I don't know if that's how he's crediting himself now, but it's a good image. And then retailer incentive is Blur Shattering Glass, and this is by Sarah Petra Duarche. So Daryl, let's start with you, because since you showed off the comics in trips to the store this week and kind of hinted at what you were going to choose, so which one was your favorite?
We also have the exclusive, the toy exclusive cover done by Casey Collar.
Oh, forgot to mention that one. Yeah, so but that one's only exclusive to the toys. So
right,
but yeah, it shows Blur racing with lightning.
Yes. So
Daryl, which one do you like?
Well, out of the 4, I can't really get the exclusive one unless I want to really pay a lot of shipping. So it's an easier one for me to skip. But I did allude to it in trips to the store because I did get covers A and the RI. But this cover A by Alex Milne is just amazing. This is the homage, like you mentioned, to the first issue of the G1 or G2 comic book series. And I remember getting that book originally back when almost probably right off the shelf, that gatefold cover in the middle, and just it looked amazing. Although I gotta say, and we may have talked about it at one point on the show or not, but I got a problem with the cover. Not Alex's rendition here, but the original cover, because Alex did the homage to it, and there's nothing wrong with Alex's. His looks amazing, but the original cover does have these bullets in the face, but these aren't bullets. These are the casings stuck in the head. So it's always been something that kind of stuck in my craw on this one, because you wouldn't have a bullet casing stuck in your head. You'd have the bullet in your head, right? So I don't know. Am I talking out my ass here? Does anyone else see this as a problem? Like, you see the punch mark on the bottom of the bullet casing here for where it would have been hit to fire it. Did his face land in a pile of casings? Is that what are you supposed? I don't know.
I see what you're saying, Daryl. Oh, these are robots that turn into vehicles and tape decks and stuff.
There's got to be a line. You got to be able to draw a line somewhere, Jeremy.
Daryl, you're technically correct. The best kind of correct.
But anyway, I love Alex's cover. The detail on it is just amazing. All the covers are great. Like, I wanted to put it out there. Every single one of these covers is fantastic, and just the one that Alex did is just it's perfection. So yeah, I'm going with the A cover.
All right, Charles, how about you?
Yeah, I got to agree. The Alex Milne cover and the homage to the G2 issue 1, that's really cool. I think that's my favorite out of all these. I mean, I think Alex, like all the homage covers that Alex has done for the entire series, I think that those might be my favorites for every issue. I mean, but yeah, I mean, it's just a great idea to homage all those classic covers. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, and I'm gonna also go with that one. It's the G2 #1 was one of my very early, I think, comics at all, but early Transformer comics that I had. So I always hold that like a special place in my heart, and this is such a good homage. All right, well, let's get into the story here. This is Shattered Glass, so it is a world with the heroic Decepticons and evil Autobots. In case you aren't familiar with the Shattered Glass landscape, because the story doesn't actually set any of that up explicitly. You just have to kind of get it from the series. Driving through the wasteland back into Gold City, Blur returns with his latest Decepticon bounty, Six Shot. Gold City is a haven for bounty hunters and body scrappers like Blur, and he immediately goes to see Ratchet, who is doing surgery or maybe torture on someone. Ratchet hands out the bounties, and after Blur tells him about his exploits capturing Six Shot, Ratchet says that he has news that happened while Blur was in the static zone. There's a new bounty that has been open to everyone and will lead to a big payday for the bot that brings him in. The bounty, Megatron's right hand, and the voice of the Decepticon rebellion, Starscream. When Blur tracks Starscream down, Chrome Dome and Hardhead have already engaged the Seeker. Starscream holds his own, but they do get some shots in. When he thinks the time is right, Blur shoots Chrome Dome's gun right out of his hand and goes back to back with Starscream and offers help. Together they dispatch the two Autobots, and Blur tries to convince Starscream that he's on his side. Not fully trusting, but having no other options, Starscream goes along. Blur leads him into the static zone, trying to trick him into going to Goldbug willingly or maybe into a trap. But Starscream has problems trusting any Autobot, and he fires on him. Blur is too fast, though, and he monologues a bit about his history and tries to convince Starscream that he's neutral, or at least as close to as you can be. Starscream seems to give in and tells him where they're going, but not why. They head to the volcanic Chrome Ridge, and as Blur tries to strategize on the road, he's shot from above. Starscream has had enough and reveals that he's seen through the Autobots' plans from the beginning. The two battle, with Blur seemingly having the upper hand, but Starscream tricks him into getting too close to a lava flow. Blur's covered in the lava and seemingly killed. Starscream stays the night by the statue of Blur and then flies off to find Megatron. So that is issue 1. I did leave out a lot. This was a very wordy book, and I normally don't have a huge problem with wordy books, but this one there were maybe a handful of panels that actually had word balloons and not just thought bubbles. And that really annoyed me. The story kind of started off slow, and I kind of like where they're going with it, but it was just very rough on me, and just in how I was having to read it. And then going back from reading it to writing the summary and doing the review, it was just rougher than even the ongoing books. So it's going to take me a while to get into this, I think, but I thought the art was really good. I mean, you can't go wrong with Guido. He can draw some good Transformers. My main issue with the book is just the wordiness and the inner monologue. It was a bit much. Daryl, what were your thoughts on the book?
Well, I mean, I agree with you quite a bit, actually. The wordiness of the book really dragged on. You get a page in, one page in, and you've got so much dialogue, or just
it's like inner dialogue.
Yeah, the inner dialogue, the inner voice, kind of going on what's been happening, what his inner thoughts are, and he's breaking it all down as to the way his world works. And if this is how the 5-issue series is going to go, we'll have some problems. I'm willing to give it one issue to kind of lay down the rules of the world and say, okay, this is how the world works, and Shattered Glass is different, because this is really the first time Shattered Glass has been really offered fully to the public. Yeah, it's been a BotCon kind of a deal, and yeah, you've been able to get books here and there through comic book shops and stuff, but it's never been this widely produced. So they got to really open it up, and you got to tell people how to how it's going to work. So I'm going to give them one book. I may give them a second. Just, it can't keep up like this. This is far too much dialogue. You've got outer dialogue, which is, even the speech bubbles are a lot. There's a lot being said, but the inner monologue just adds way too much. And the secondary problem with that is it covers up a lot of the art. And like you mentioned, Guido's art is fantastic. He is a true Transformers artist when it comes to doing these books. He can draw anything, and it just looks fantastic. So I'm really happy that Guido's on this series. I can't wait to see the rest of these books because they all look fantastic, but I'm really having trouble with the dialogue here, and the way it's being written. So yeah, I mean, let's see what the next issue does. I'm happy with the way that the ending was resolved kind of in this one. It was, it was built up about, I'm the fastest one on the planet, nobody's going to get past me. And then Starscream just outthinks him. And that's the way it's got to work. It's one of those things that kind of people, going on a bit of a story here, stay with me. When I play hockey, I'm not the fastest guy out there. So growing up, I would always get people saying, well, I'm just going to skate past you. I'm going to skate, I can skate around you. I'm faster than you. And I said, yeah, that's fine. But the rink is an oval. You can only go so far before you got to turn back and come back towards me. So I'll be there. So that was what my interpretation of this was, that you can be so fast, which is great. It works for everything, but there's only going to be a number of times before you're going to be able to be fast enough you can't be fast enough to outthink somebody. And somebody's obviously Starscream here. Starscream got in his position because he's Starscream. He's a quick thinker.
No one's ever said Starscream is dumb.
No. And he's not. The ending of this particular book was done to my satisfaction. I thought it worked well. Whether Blur stays dead, who knows? It looks that way right now, and we'll see how the rest of the series plays out.
Yeah, that's why in my review I said he's seemingly killed, because at this point he looks like one of those like people in Pompeii that were just kind of like they made a cast of someone that was like covered in lava.
Sure,
but who knows? When we saw Six Shot at the beginning, it's just bits and pieces of the body and the head. So until I see Blur like that, I won't really believe that he's dead. Charles, what were your thoughts? How would you feel first of all if you had bought the Blur figure and you get it and you read the book and at the end of the book you think the character you bought is dead?
I mean, it's already an Elseworlds, alternate universe, yeah. So I don't think I'd be too concerned about him dying in the comic. Yeah, I mean, I take your guys' point about the inner monologue being a little overdone in this story here. I mean, I think maybe part of that was to try and introduce some of the backstory, about the world and everything. Yeah, I think it maybe didn't work as well as intended. It didn't, it feels like it was a little bit too much of an info dump, through this inner monologue. And maybe there could have been a more elegant way to introduce the world and everything and introduce the story and setup. I mean, I would have appreciated even just like a little, like a paragraph on a paragraph of text on the cover page saying, it's not the world Yeah, it's a world transformed. These are not the Autobots and Decepticons. This is a world where Megatron is fighting for freedom from the tyranny of the Autobots, or something like that. But I mean, you get a little bit of that in the book, but I mean, you get the sense that the Autobots are just bad. not that the Decepticons are particularly good, but the Autobots are pretty much evil warlords at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like everything we've gotten in the last, I guess since IDW's had the license, it hasn't been just straight bad versus straight good. Mm-hmm. They gave the Decepticons a reason for rebelling or for starting, and then they just go too far. In this, it's just back to, we don't know why the Autobots are evil. They're just evil. And so I'm hoping we get some depth there, and it's not just a Prime being a mustache twirling villain. Because I think we as an audience are way past just that black and white connotation of good and evil. We need some more meat on the bones.
And the art is great. It does give me Transformers 84 vibes because, we have the artist and the colorist from Transformers 84. So Guido Guidi and John Paul Bove, and then John Wyckoff doing the inks. And then I guess Ed Peary helped out with the colors too. But yeah, it does really remind me of Transformers 84 in that art style, which is, good for a classic kind of G1-esque tale here. And I really like some of the backgrounds, like you see like a dead Metroplex in the background, his giant head just hanging out there. I think that's and all, of course, all the color schemes are reversed from what in the regular G1 characters, so that's always interesting. And it was cool to see other characters that aren't getting toys, like like Chrome Dome and Hardhead, two headmasters, still getting rendered in the shattered glass style.
Cool. Well, I guess we will be following this as they come out. And that is it for the comic review this week.
All right. Well, let's move on to Transformers Media News.
All right. In media news this week, there is trouble in the Transformers Rise of the Beast console game town. So they, I have not read all of this, big surprise, but apparently there was a takeover of the gaming company Liu Technologies by Tencent. Soon after that happened, Liu Technologies kind of fell apart. So I guess this company was involved with creating the Transformers Rise game. I guess it's not Rise of the Beast, it's just Rise. Sorry about that. But it is a console game. So they're trying to develop this game, and they're having problems with it. Not really super familiar with it, but
well, it seems like they were recently bought out by Tencent, and just many people have left the company, and it's just not a good work environment right now, it seems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's a console MMO that they're trying to do. I don't even remember hearing about this. Did we hear about this before?
There has been. It's not. I don't think it's connected to the new movie or anything.
Transformers Online is what this.
Yeah.
Is.
Yeah, but we haven't, we've had stories about this game being in development, but not really any information about it.
Well, it might just get killed at this point because there doesn't seem to be a way to make it, unless they get a whole new company to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it says on the last line here says people who didn't care about games wound up being in charge, and they were more interested in dressing themselves up for a sale by buying a lot of IP that they never intended to actually finish the project.
Right. That's a shame. Transformers
MMOs just always have a bad.
They do.
It just, you can't really get one made.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, maybe we'll hear more about that in the coming weeks. In TV news, the G1 Season 1 is available for streaming on the Hasbro Pulse YouTube channel. And Jeremy did send me a link, and it works outside of the US. So there you go. If you have not seen G1 and you'd like to watch just Season 1, and you want to do it on YouTube and not Tubi TV, there's another option for you, I guess. There seems to be a billion ways to watch G1 right now. So
yeah, I'm looking. It still is on Tubi as well. Tubi has all of them, as well as other series like Prime Animated, Unicron Trilogy, Beast Machines. That's kind of always been my problem with streaming services. Not that YouTube is a streaming service, but it kind of is that at any point in time, the show that you're watching could just be gone.
my wife and daughter and I were all watching Roseanne because my daughter had never seen it and my wife really never watched it. And I thought, yeah, let's just watch it from the beginning and we'll go through it all. I think we got to season 4 and it just was not there anymore on Amazon. And we're like, I guess it's gone. So, now what do you want to watch? So, I mean, it just sucks. We take for granted that, yeah, we've got streaming services. Everything will always be there, but no, it won't.
That's how they get you.
At least Netflix seems to notify you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how they'd notify me, but they just send you an email with everything they're going to remove. No,
it's just Netflix when you're watching something that's about to go away. It'll tell you, this goes away on this date.
That's true. Yeah. Yep. All right. In movie news, we've got some more information about Transformers Rise of the Beast and that it is going to be partially filmed in Brooklyn. So there you go. There is a listing of all the stuff that's going to be filmed in Brooklyn, and Rise of the Beast is on it. A bunch of other stuff is on there too. I can only imagine being in a filming hub such as New York, the amount of possible things you'd come across on a daily basis would be just insane. And Rise of the Beast is also looking to film in Cuzco, which is in Peru, and I think we were talking about it before we recorded, is that's where Andrew Griffith now lives. So we're going to have to talk to Andrew and see if he's going to be in the movie, because he's got those dashing good looks that we all know he modeled Spike Witwicky after. So, yeah. And that's it. That's all for media news this week.
All right, we will move on to convention news.
Somehow, I think this is really media news that snuck into convention news. This last weekend, Renegade Games had their Renegade Con 2021, and this is where they did the big reveal of the new role-playing game for the Hasbro properties, and also I believe the deck building games. They have Power Rangers, G.I. Joe, and Transformers. They went over, the role-playing game is using a system that they've created called Essence 20, and it is a D20 based system. Seems like a traditional styled RPG. I watched a little bit of their stream, but I missed the actual play that they did. But from people I've talked to online, the creator of this is pretty well regarded. So looking forward to trying to get him on the show to talk to him. This is cool. I didn't see when this is coming out. I think the Power Rangers one might be out first, but we'll definitely be talking about it once it comes out, especially hopefully with Mike on the show.
I think the Transformers stuff is next spring, March or...
Yeah, I see now. So they have a deck building game also that has, I think we've already talked about the first, the Autobot, base pack. They have a Decepticons expansion coming. The role-playing game has a starter adventure called A Beacon of Hope. And yeah, it looks like that's coming out in the spring. So looks like really good, kind of taking off from where the previous trading card game was, this deck building game. I think the people that were interested in the deck build or in the trading card game will probably be happy with this. I was just looking at some of the cards they have here, and it is using, particularly I see art from the original IDW run, the first. One of the pictures here is Prowl with when they were making all the bots have really human faces that they could have avoided. But otherwise, I mean, the art is really good on this, taken from comics. Oh, they even have a Verity Carlo card, so that's cool. So yeah, I might get some of these and hopefully actually play the game this time. So yeah, this looks really cool. And then in other convention news, we have TFCon Baltimore has announced that Venus Terzo will be attending. She was Black Arachnia in both Beast Wars and Beast Machines. And all the Beast Wars actors are always great guests. So I'm sure she and Gary Chalk will be cutting up and making many people laugh. So that is all I got here for convention news.
All right. And we will finish up the show with feedback. Okay, we got a voicemail and an email. So voicemail from our Donatreon, Will, who recently upped his pledge. So, Will, take it away.
Hey guys, it's Will, one of your Donatreons from the UK. Still enjoying the show, love it every week. So I was going through my collection this week and looking back at some old comics and things, and thinking about like my first Transformers experiences, like watching a cartoon at a friend's house and buying my first comic in the newsagents when I was a kid, and things like that. And so I was wondering, like, what are your earliest Transformers memories? What are the things that really stuck in your mind when you first encountered the toys or the comics or the cartoon or things like that? I'd be interested to know. Okay, keep up the good work, you guys, and see you soon.
All right. Well, that's a fun question. I guess I can start. I'm not really sure if this is this is what sticks out for me. I don't know if this is my first memory, but I do remember the cartoon. You know, the cartoon was really what started off for me. And when it came out, I think it was running it wasn't running like 5 days a week on the weekdays after school. That didn't come until I think the following year. But it started like running early in the mornings on Saturday or Sunday. And I remember just trying to figure out, like it's because this is the times where you didn't have a guide on TV. You had to get the paper TV Guide magazine to figure out when shows were on, and if you missed something, you missed it. That was it. So trying to figure out when this show was on and making sure I watched it, and then also being a little bit annoyed that why did this new cool show Transformers with the giant robots? It was really cool. It turns into different things. Why did they only get a 3-part miniseries when the G.I. Joe cartoon, their show always had like a 5-part miniseries to start their show? And I wonder why did Transformers only get 3 parts, and why did I have to wait a week for each part? So not really understanding what the production schedules and everything for the different animation shows. It felt like, even back then, as a kid, you could tell G.I. Joe and Transformers were made by the same animation company and looked like they were all done by the same people. So, why was Transformers not getting as much stuff as G.I. Joe was at the time? So, because I was like, I knew Transformers was my thing. I like G.I. Joe, but I really thought Transformers was the best. And
you knew you were an engineer even back then.
But yeah, but that started my love of Transformers, is just getting exposed to that cartoon and then asking for all the toys for Christmas and not getting anything except a little Huffer because everything was sold out. My parents couldn't find them. So, Jeremy, how about you?
It was definitely the cartoon. I can't remember like how I found it or even watching it those early days, but I know it was the cartoon because I was always watching all the cartoons that were on then, and just Transformers, much like Voltron, just stuck with me because of the giant robots and stuff. And then I didn't get into the comics much until much later. I just got a handful, but I remember one of my very first toys was my mom brought home the Devastator gift set. And I just remember sitting at the dining room table, just playing with all of them and just thinking it was just so amazing. Yeah, I think those are my earliest memories I have. I might have had like Optimus Prime or something before, but getting that gift set is just a memory that is stuck in my head. So if it wasn't the first, it was one of the first toys I got.
Cool. Daryl, what about you?
I do have a memory that is similar to Jeremy's, where I got the Devastator gift set for Christmas, but I think I have one that's earlier than that, because I got Skywarp for some reason. Here, this is cool. Why don't we get you this? Kind of a present just for being me. What, you guys don't get those?
Hey, here's an airplane. I think it turns into a robot.
Yeah. My mother used to like to put little gifts on my nightstand when I was a kid, so that when I was sleeping, when I would wake up, there'd be something special when I woke up. There never used to be like really big things there, but might have been a Transformer there once or twice. But I remember having Skywarp at school, and I think it broke. I think either I broke the nose cone off, or somebody broke the nose. The nose cone got broke off, and my entire childhood I went through 3 Skywarps because they kept breaking on me. So yeah, my earliest memory is getting the Skywarp toy. I think I came to the comics really late. Like they were over, and they had been over for a while. Like I was a teenager when I first discovered the comic books. But the cartoon and the toys, that was my gateway. You know, I have a memory of, it was funny because everyone's just recently gotten the new 4K release of the movie, and people are posting pictures of having every single version. Oh, I've got every version, all these different versions of the movie. I've got every one of them ever released. Well, I don't know what you're talking about. I've got one nobody else has. I've got the VHS dub. where you rented it from the store and brought somebody else's VHS over and you dubbed it. But yeah, that was, I remember that being very early on, because I basically ruined the Variety Store's copy of the 86 movie because I rented it so much. Yeah, I still have it. I still have that VHS tape. But yeah, those are my earliest memories of Transformers. Very few of them include toys. It's all about watching the cartoon and other stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, I will say I spent many rentals of those various FHE releases.
Oh yeah.
That I don't even know how much, but like I think it seems like every time we went to rent a video, I was picking up a Transformer video.
All right. Well, those are our memories, Will. Thanks for writing in with that question. All right. We've also got an email from Brent, and this is focused on the current IDW Transformers comics. So Brent says, ladies and gentlemen, a moment of silence for Yoshi, who will be missed. The deep-throating angles were some of the funniest segments in the history of the show. But I have to say, Epic and Apollo are both awesome replacements. Anyways, I'm all caught up on all the IDW Transformers comic books, and I mean all of them, after reading the latest Transformers Beast Wars issue 7 and thoroughly enjoying it. It made me come to the realization that I really hate the mainline Transformers books. I just can't bite my tongue any longer. IDW 2 is horrible. 2 years and 33 books later, where are we going, and why does it feel like an absolute slog to get there? I enjoy a good slow burn. My favorite movie studio is A24, but the pacing is simply unforgivable. Comic books are a different medium than prose novels and movies. You have to throw the audience a bone every now and then. Yes, things have picked up a little bit since number 1, but it's too little, too late. The overall storyline has dragged on for so long. Who really cares about these characters at this point? In the previous IDW continuity, even when things got really talk and speech heavy, it still felt like the editors and writers had a clear idea where things were going, that things were happening. I just don't get that from the present IDW continuity, and after 2 years, I have no faith that this will change. Meanwhile, why is the current Transformers Beast Wars book so enjoyable? It's fun, exciting, interesting, all the things the main Transformers books aren't. Honestly, I kind of hope that IDW either folds or loses the Transformers license, because the IDW 2 just sucks, if I can be blunt. Wow, I originally meant to make this a quick email, but I really got going. My feedback kind of dragged on like the current main IDW Transformers title. So sorry for the length. Keep up the great work as always. Well, Brent, I think we've had the discussion several times about the main IDW book. Your points are pretty valid. We've had the discussion about the pacing. I still think there are lots of good things in the main IDW story, like just some of the lore and the new ideas introduced into the books. But yeah, the pacing is definitely, it's a little bit grating. I mean, I would say like since issue 25, I think it has picked up a little bit. Like 25, I thought was a really high point of the story. That was the one where you had Optimus Prime getting the Matrix. I think that really was had all the good points from a good Transformers comic. But yeah, I mean, you can't hang your hat on one issue out of over 30, having with great pacing and everything. So, I mean, I'm not going to try to convince you to keep going, but I will say that I still find things to enjoy in the books, even if I'm not happy with the overall pacing of the story. And I mean, I'm curious about the whole X-Archon thing that has been a background, in the story background for a long time. I was hoping they would do more to flesh that out along the way, but it really hasn't. It's just starting. That's just starting to happen now. But yeah, I don't know. I'm rambling at this point. I can't really defend the new IDW story, but I'm still invested in it, I guess.
We read the comics so people don't have to.
Yeah.
I think Brent put a lot of my thoughts in a much more coherent form. So I agree with pretty much everything he says.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the best comments we've had in quite some time. Yeah.
And also agree that Epic and Apollo are both awesome.
They are.
Yes.
Yeah. No mention of Mike. Curious.
Or Dr.
Pants.
Or Dr. Pants, yes.
I think they're both cool too.
They're both cool, but they're not Epic and Apollo cool. Yeah, but I agree completely. Although we may disagree on Beast Wars, I'm not loving it the way you are, but I definitely think it's probably better than the main title. It's the main title. If we weren't reviewing it, I probably would have dropped it quite some time ago, and that's saying a lot because I buy pretty much every Transformers book anyway. It's just it's a mess. Yeah, I don't think I'd hope for IDW to fold, but it might be time to maybe restart this series or at least bring in somebody else to write it. It's dragging on quite a long time now.
All right, Brent. Well, thanks for writing in. I do enjoy the Beast Wars comic quite a bit as well.
Yeah. I think it's fun.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that continues on. The most recent issue was it's nice to see the story picking up a little bit. I felt the first 6 issues did also have at least. It felt like it took a long time to tell that first story arc. It looks like the story arcs are going to get a little bit shorter with the next few issues. So looking forward to that. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode of Transmissions Alt Mode. As always, we give a shout out at the end of the show, at the end of every show, to our Masterpiece Donatreons. So thank you again to John 4X Levengood, Dinobot Maximize, and Demon Tech 82. Thank you guys for continuing to support the show at our highest level. We really appreciate it. And if you are interested in helping out the show another way, you can buy some merchandise from our TeePublic store. That's at transmissionspodcast.com/shop. And we've got lots of shirts, other merchandise, and masks, lots of good stuff to have Transmissions branding on. But you can also buy anything from TeePublic through our link to help out the show. So might want to check that out. All right, that's it for this episode of Transmissions Alt Mode. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Later.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Transmissions. If you'd like to keep the Transformers talk going, join us in Discord at transmissionspodcast.com/Discord. There's a great community there waiting for you. If you'd like to support our podcast, go to transmissionspodcast.com/support or just tell your friends about our show. We'll see you next time.
You sure you're recording,
Can you confirm?
Huh?
Can you confirm
are you
that
recording?
Well, Let's see here. Yeah, I think so.
Only been doing this 8 years. Okay.
Now that I've taken this video, how do I email it? And I'm like, you're taking a video like in 4K on this phone, and you want to email it? Good Lord.
You just take the phone, you put it in an envelope, and you mail it to the person.
Yeah. Just deliver it yourself. Deliver it by hand to the person you want to send it to. Your phone. They're born into the computer age, right? This cellular age, or whatever they're calling it.
Information age.
Is that what they're calling it? What was our age?
Industrial age.
Really? That's gross.
Their lifespan covers the super important span of history here.
Something that I would expect an edger to say.
I don't want to break something. I'm like, just
A red light will start flashing and it's going to blow up.
it's like, just try something. If it doesn't work, turn it off and turn it back on. All right. Should we do an alt mode now?
Yeah, Charles is getting upset.
Well, that doesn't seem like the emotions I'm feeling right now.
Charles is getting upset.
All right. That's a nice 12 minutes of outtakes for you to choose from, Mike.
Just have Daryl, the initial saying that, we're the greatest generation, and then Charles saying, don't smell your own fart.
I expected your first car to have a in-dash turntable. Only usable when standing still.
Yeah. All right. Here
Let's
we go.
give Charles an episode here.
How about we record a podcast?
Yeah, it's all about me.
Yeah.